or no prenup? That is the topic for today. Do we have a prenup?
We do not have a prenup.
We don't have a prenup. Dang, I make more money than you.
Now you do, yeah.
Yeah,
Not
now
when we got
that's
married.
true. Not when we got married. Now, the question is, do we regret our decision? Is a prenup moral? Is it Christian? We're Christians, so we care about that stuff. You know, I make more money. How does this affect our relationship? Also, like, what do you think about like kids with like large inheritances? Do you think parents have the right to insist upon that upon their kids? I don't know. I'm a little iffy about it. Is a prenup ever a good idea? We're going to talk all about it here on Pretty Rich Podcast. Hi there. Welcome to Pretty Rich Podcast. I am joined here with my handsome, strong husband. And we are going to talk all about prenups. And we are going to do this series together. And we decided to call it, at Jiu-Jitsu, we decided to call it
Date night.
We decided to call it date night. I think last week we were wondering what we were going to call this, but today we officially decided to call it date night. And that just really resonated with us. I think that's going to be super inside, but maybe you guys can get a vibe of like what we really are like in real life because yeah, I don't know.
And we have regular date nights, and that's why you're dressed this way. And things like that, yeah.
That's why I'm dressed this way.
Today, yeah.
That's true.
Yes.
Today, yes.
So we do this before our date night.
That's true. I asked you, do you like what I'm wearing? I asked you like top and bottom. This was your choice.
Yes, and you bought my clothes, so.
That's true.
Yes.
I get to dress you, you get to dress me. Okay, so we decided to call this series Date Night. I think last week we were thinking about the Roosh Rundown or the Bert and Ernie show because we look like Bert and Ernie. But yeah, this week we decided, yeah, it's date night for sure. Okay, so today we are going to read the review of the week. Guys, thank you so much for your reviews. We've gotten a lot more lately, and it's all because of you, but we need more reviews because it helps us connect with other cool people like you and helps this podcast get found. So if this podcast has blessed you in any way, has uplifted you in any way, please take 30 seconds to please write a 5-star review on iTunes. It would mean the absolute world. And most likely, we're going to read it on the air. So the review of the week is from VH Reese. Oh my gosh, please don't make me say that. Anyway, he or she on February 2nd, 2023 writes, Sheila is a lifesaver. Sheila's podcast always helps me get in a better mood. Her energy is always there. And most importantly, she's constantly dropping gems. She shares so much and I really love that she keeps it real and doesn't hold back. If you want to feel not only learn, but feel empowered in your business journey, Sheila will be your beauty biz best friend. I can do hard things. Also, I wanted to remind you guys about getpmuclients.com. Go to getpmuclients.com if you are a beautypreneur that wants clients of any kind, whether you're an esthetician, it's not just for PMU artists, for lash artists, or anybody that might want more clients in your business, in your spa, in your medi spa, in your hair salon. Go to getpmuclients.com. If you want real strategies and real results, just go ahead and visit it, fill out the form, and watch magic happen. So today's topic of date night. Well, the William James Roosh III. My goodness, I don't think that's part of Filipino culture to have. It is part of Filipino culture, but not anyone I know personally. I believe there's a Jose Rizal 1, 2, and 3, like the first.
I know a bunch of Filipino juniors.
I know a junior, but does it ever go past that?
I don't know.
I think it's really cool that our kid is the 4th. Remember that one time we met another guy on a boat?
Yes. Yeah, we were whale watching. Yeah. It was William, too.
It was William James,
that's
the
right.
3rd and 4th, except they were the opposite color. They were black and you're white.
Yes, that's true. I am white. Yeah.
Right. And they had
William James, the 3rd and 4th. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah.
It was on a boat. It was whale watching.
Yeah.
We have a picture with them.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. First name and middle name. Granted, they're pretty typical names.
It's just funny the way it went down, though.
That's true.
My name's William. Oh, yeah. No, my kid's name's William. Mine, too. What? What's the middle name? James. Oh, my gosh. So he's doing... No, he's the 3rd. He's the 3rd. Like, oh, my God. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. We should find that guy. I feel like we should be friends with that guy. It's good. Okay. So today we are going to chat all about prenuptial agreements. That is a quote from Liar Liar.
Including
Prenuptial agreement.
prenuptial agreements.
Not Jim Carrey's best, but
What do you mean?
it's not.
I know, but I think so. I think so. It's one of the few movies I do memorize.
Because the guy from Princess Bride's in it.
True.
It might be why.
Confession.
Yeah, prenups. It's interesting. Well, this isn't your first rodeo either. You were married before this. Did you have a prenup then?
Talk about that. Yes. Coming clean. This is my second marriage, but this isn't the first time I've come clean on that on this podcast. I've said it before.
You have a prenup that time?
No, I didn't.
Should you have?
I don't think so. There was.
Can't get blood from a stone, right?
There's
It's kind of an issue only for certain people of the population. There's only a certain demographic that's going to be.
Maybe it would have made it go faster. Yeah, you guys should know that's we might have a certain bias because I have been married before. But today I Googled I Googled wedding quotes or like marriage quotes, and 6 of them came up on Google, and let me just read them to you. And it came up on Pinterest. It decorated my house. The house built on Pinterest. The party created from Pinterest. That's me all the time. I Googled 6 funny pre-wedding quotes. This is the first thing that comes up on Google. Marriage lets you annoy one special person for the rest of your life. Do I annoy you?
Of course. Of course.
That's true.
I mean, I think that's a short-sighted way of looking at it, but okay.
Yeah, okay. You annoy me too.
Pessimistic.
All right. That's true. And then the next one is, we weren't sure about this until we read all about the tax breaks.
That there is.
True. There are tax breaks. They say marriages are made in heaven, but so is thunder and lightning.
Yeah. Okay.
That's simple.
Yeah.
If my husband doesn't start crying when he sees me walking down the aisle, I'm turning around and doing it again. That's supposed to be really funny.
What was your expectation when you were like, oh, Will's going to see me for the first time? We met for photographs before even the ceremony. I was like kind of dead emotionally inside. So like,
you were still kind of taken aback.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I look real good that day.
No, it like took my breath away, but I don't know if I like emoted in that way, but I think I hopefully showed you that
you did
appreciate what you look like. Yeah,
you did. I don't think I had an expectation back then. Yeah, I didn't. There weren't enough Instagram memes of like, guys crying, because that's a thing now on Instagram.
What?
Like men's reactions of their lady walking down the aisle. Thank you.
Yeah, the problem with that, I guess, is just like then you're almost like forcing it because there's like.
I know.
It was a really intimate moment. I thought I was glad that
it was private, and you were really insistent upon all of our like special moments being private. So much so that I even told the videographer to stay back.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially you back then. You weren't comfortable with a camera.
Yeah, still not great with it, but yeah.
Yeah, but you're better. But I did tell the cameraman to stand back, and he did. And most of our wedding was on a Zoom lens.
Yeah, but they were great. They didn't.
They were great. They were great. But it would have been more up close. But that's okay. Next. Better start drinking now. It gets worse from here. I think those are really sad.
Well, that's the cliche, right?
But
that's
it's like
every
that's how
sitcom.
That's how people cope.
Yeah, yes. That's like the sitcom, that Everybody Loves Raymond thing. It's just like the ball and chain, that kind of thing. Which there is an element of that to marriage, but it's
true.
It's the full spectrum. It's the highest highs and the lowest lows, and it's the most exciting things and the most boring and whatever, like banal things.
But just like parenting, it's the highest highs and lows. It's the most fear, right? It's the most love, right? It's insane. So yeah, same with marriage for sure. So this podcast is all about prenuptial agreements. So where is the cultural and historical aspects around prenuptial agreements? Like, where did it start? Prenuptial agreements have been around since the days of ancient civilizations, when people wanted to make sure that their assets were protected in case their spouse turned out to be a real lemon. Or I'm pretty sure it's also in case their spouse dies, unexpectedly.
Make sure she'll be okay.
Yeah, to make sure it's particularly around the wife, the female. Fast forward to today, prenups are still the rage for folks who want to be secure in their financial future or protect their trust fund from a gold digging spouse. But let's be real, the cultural and historical background of prenups is a little bit of practicality, a little bit of suspicion, and a whole lot of I've got mine and I'm not giving it up. So it's a mix of financial planning and not taking any chances. But the real question is, what are the consequences of instilling one? Do you feel that it's a moral decision? How does it affect the notion of trust and commitment? Okay, so start with question 1. Do you think it's fair to protect your assets? Like athletes, you know,
Like
I don't know,
stars,
movie stars, athletes.
or even, you know, business entrepreneur. I mean, just with wealth in general, I think they're two different realms. I mean, it just really depends. I don't know. It's a very specific demographic, though. As I'm saying, it's a smaller group of people that are thinking about this stuff. But a prenuptial agreement could be anything. It could be, you know, the spouse gets 80%. I mean, you can work it out however you do. It's
That's
just
true. Could be the wife gets 80%.
just an agreement of, if this goes south, here's what happens, and it can be agreed upon by both parties. But I mean, it's typically not the situation that you and I have. Typically, the man makes more money than the woman. So, and it would be like a thing where he's established with wealth and then marries whatever, like some young thing or something like that. And then, you know, it's like comes in. Tom Brady's on the loose, right? So he marries some 26-year-old.
He says he doesn't want to date.
Well,
I'm on top of this one.
yeah. I mean, he just signed a contract, I think, for to do like play-by-play or whatever, or Fox, you know, NFL Sundays or something like that. And it's like $370 million. So if you marry someone young, like, should you? It's a weird thing. I don't know, babe. What do you think? Like, it's taking something very quantifiable like wealth and possessions, and then something that's not as quantifiable like love. And we know that when you're in love, you're a little dumb. You know, you're very impulsive. It's almost like being drunk or on the influence of a drug or something like that. So you're mixing these two different worlds, the quantifiable and the non-quantifiable. So I think it's tricky. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I always try to look at it from the lens of Jesus because that's my North Star. I think God looks at your heart. I think God looks at your heart and your intention. Because like when you instill a prenuptial agreement, are you planning to mess up? It really depends on what's in it. You know, it's like we have this idea that a prenuptial agreement is always in favor of, you know, the person with more money. What if it's not? But let's say it is in favor of the person with more money. I really think it's a case-by-case basis. I really don't think we can. I mean, this is what your podcast is about, Cylinder Radio. You can't just like have a blanket statement over every single prenup ever created and say like, this is wrong.
Well, it could be a way also.
Or it's like not real love.
Divorce, especially when there's a lot of assets, is very expensive. And the lawyers are just like, they love it because they'll just rack up a bunch of hours. So it could just be, hey, a 50-50 split, even if in a 50-50 state, like we're in California, it's a 50-50 state, just to streamline the process. You could do that. But is it planning on failure? I don't know. Is buying insurance planning on failure? Like you don't
buying
need
insurance.
You don't need collision insurance in your car.
True, but then planning insurance, if it's insurance, it's because of accidents. I think like with it depends. See, it depends on what's in a prenup. It depends on what's in a prenup. Is it when somebody cheats?
Could a cheating occurrence be an accident?
Oh, okay. See, it depends on the couple. Do you quantify like forced cheating, like rape? You know, we're getting into the weeds here.
Like, okay, you're driving a car, you have collision insurance because you say you might drive. Okay, but if you drive and text, you drive and drink, you're more likely to get into an accident.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you are in a marriage and you tend to hang out in certain situations with coworkers that you have a thing with or something like that. Well, it is, but it's not intentional. No, hold on. It's not intentional that you're going to cheat. You're just kind of like playing with fire. You have texted and driven. You have.
I have.
I have too. I'm not planning on crashing.
So right? Do you believe in prenups?
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Okay. Yeah, you make it sound like you believe in prenups, just like that time we had Rashawn over with it.
I said that people cheat.
Yeah, she said everyone cheats. We had, okay, so just to bring you in, we had like some of my high school friends. That's true. We had some of my high school friends over, like hadn't seen me in years. And then their first introduction to you was a conversation about cheating. And you with all confidence said, everybody's
No, I
cheating.
didn't. I don't think I said everybody. I think that I said the vast majority of men do.
No,
And
no, no. At that time you said everybody. You
Okay.
didn't mean it that way.
It can't. Well, it's
But
not
I was like,
statistically everybody,
but
but it's
then
a lot.
yeah,
It's a lot.
Tony was like, really?
Well, a lot of people have infidelity, men and women. And
What
it's
what
different.
is it statistically? What do you think?
Well, let's just say that 55% of marriages break up. It's more than that.
Okay.
So
That's a lot.
And you could just do this. I mean, people at home could do this. Like how many couples do you know where one person or the other cheated? I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. Infidelity is a very common thing. And then you have to break down even what the definition of that is.
That's true, because if you are a devout believer in if you were like whatever legalist, or like you just really believe that this is what the Bible says, that if a man lusts another woman, even in his heart he has already committed adultery. So what about men that watch pornography, or women that watch pornography? Right? Let's be fair here. It's like, does that mean they've cheated?
Or
So like what does that mean?
we're getting in the weeds now. But
We are. This is why this is complicated.
Even like talking about, like, it doesn't even have to be sexual. I mean, because women oftentimes
That's
cheat
true.
because of like an emotional connection. I mean, is it better or worse to have just a quick, you see someone on the street, you don't even know their name, you hook up with them, it takes 3 minutes and you're done, never see them again, or someone you talk to them every night for several hours, you pour out your heart to them and you bring in them to every facet of your life, but you never physically touch, but they are your rock during times of happiness and sorrow. Like,
Jeez.
is that cheating? I think that's
I
breaking your nuptials.
vows. Yeah,
Right?
I think so.
So yeah, I don't know. That's really, I mean, this is really complex.
It really
But-
is. That's why I really don't think we can put a yes or no, like a for sure yes or no on prenup or not, because there's like different situations.
It is kind of like insurance. So prenuptial agreements are kind of like insurance, saying things could go south. If you're going into a marriage saying this maybe could go south because 55% of American marriages do, or something along those lines, you're playing the odds. It's actually pragmatic to do it, but then you're starting off with that mentality. Like the mentality almost needs to be like divorce is off the table. Because if you know that there's a parachute, if you know that there's an ejection seat,
it's
marriage is really difficult, and you know that that's an option, and you pull that cord perhaps.
Okay, so I've seen a lot of entrepreneurial men, I suppose, talk on Instagram, and I've publicly commented on it, talk about how, oh, there's just no way I'm not getting a prenup. There's no way I'm not getting a prenup with, whatever, their girlfriend or everything, because they work so hard for their money. And I commented that, yeah, I understand, but it depends on, let's define what marriage is to you first. Is marriage a business agreement, or is it a sacred covenant, in the eyes of God? So before you can even answer that question, which I think was really good, it's like we need to define what is marriage first. If it's just a business agreement, then yeah, protect your assets. But if it is a sacred covenant, then take it seriously. I think before we even answer this question, we need to define what it is first.
Yeah, and also I think the people that are saying that, I would assume that they don't have children with these people. I think that you and I have 3 kids. It's like the last thing I think on either one of our minds, if we would split up, would be like, oh well, who's gonna get these assets?
The Tesla.
It's like, oh my gosh, like we got to figure out, like there's so many
that's the
more
last thing.
important pressing things.
Sure.
You can always make more money. You can't always like
Agreed.
rebuild a home life for your kids.
Right.
So I think that it's just a lot of people talking who don't understand the complexity when you add kids to the equation. You can definitely get divorced with kids. I mean, people do it all the time for sure. But I think the focus in that situation is typically about the lives of the kids. But again, I don't know. Maybe it's different when you have, 9 figures in the bank. I don't know.
Yeah, agreed. What about kids with large inheritances? There's like, what about like Jeff Bezos' kids, or like our kids? our kids are gonna have a large inheritance. And so, I'm a boy mom, and I have all 3 boys wear this sweatshirt right now just because I can that says Mama's boy. Until I can't anymore, I will. But I think about that. And so what if, one of them makes a premature decision? And in my eyes, I can clearly see, just like my
That
mom
was your
saw,
situation.
right? My mom saw it too. When I was married to my first husband, both my parents saw that it was just not a good decision. They saw it before me, but you could not talk me out of that. I needed to commit that mistake in order to learn. And I was headstrong about it. And I still believe to this day that I really needed to commit that mistake and get disciplined in order to really learn my lesson. And so there was really like not a real way around it. And so if I had a large inheritance at that time, or if I was making a lot of money, would I have wanted a prenup? Yeah, probably.
You think you knew going in?
No,
That,
I didn't know going in. But
So-
me now, let's say I knew
Right.
that wouldn't work out, and I was running Sheila Bella at the time, which was a multi-7-figure company, and I don't know. I don't know what the law is, but I think like you have to pay alimony. I don't know. They get like half of it. I don't know. Anyway, you have to give up your hard work, your company, which Lord knows he would not have had anything to do with. Yeah, it's tricky. But the thing is, well, you can always make more money. But
you
isn't
could always find another husband. So
that's but isn't that I just think that I deserve it. Listen, so with my first marriage, there were some financial things that we had to split. It did cost me a few $1,000s. It did. And I remember somebody told me, well, that is the cost of divorce. That is the cost of sin. And I'll never forget it. And I was upset when I heard it. But I also think, yes, that is the cost of sin. But should I not have a prenup? Maybe it wouldn't have cost me as much. I said, like, well, that's kind of just like the cost of your mistake. Might not, I don't know, maybe the lesson. And so I have to think about this for my own children. Maybe the lesson, like the more painful it is, the more you learn. And maybe it's not just about money. Maybe it's about wisdom. And maybe that's a better aim.
that can be expensive. Well, another
Wisdom
element
is,
of
I
this-
mean, just like business, it's like, okay, you hire the wrong person. It's like you're careless about spending. It's like, well, you just get disciplined sometimes. You just do, and it sucks. And then you learn, and it sucks, and it's better because you learn.
Did the person help you to get where you're at?
Yeah,
Also
absolutely.
is an issue because
Well.
Jeff Bezos, people talk about how Jeff Bezos' ex-wife was like super generous, and it's like, well, not really her money, but like, how much did she contribute? Because there is an element of like, as you were building, and this isn't Amazon, but like, like Pretty Rich and everything like that, like as you were building it, there had like, I was a part of that whole process, even though maybe not on paper. So there's that element. I don't know. It's tricky. It's a really tricky thing of like, how much did your spouse contribute to your success? Because it's some.
Well, if you believe, what the Bible says, like you are one,
Right, so
there's
just 50-50 split it. I think Howard Stern famously, I don't know if he said that it's 50-50, but it's something along the lines of like, if he and his wife, now Beth, like split up, that she would get like a lot. So it's
That's
like
a lot.
established, that's like a lot.
It's probably like a fixed amount,
Yeah, but it might be like,
50 million.
yeah, or more. I mean, it's enough that she never has to worry about money again. When you have that much.
I mean, for me, like, what cost is it for man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? And I don't know, to me, I see marriage as like my whole world in a lot of ways. It is because
Jill, you were married.
that's true, and I wasn't that
It
invested.
wasn't. So you're a better person to talk on this because about this, because you went through a marriage where you weren't all about it. You didn't want to have kids.
That's
You're
true.
a
I
mom,
did.
and you wanted to have kids right away with me.
I know.
So it's a very different thing. You're speaking like marriage is always what you and I have, which has its challenges, but is more good than bad. And I don't think that that's necessarily the case with a lot of people.
Okay. All right.
Right?
Okay, this is so complex. Well, I have a question for you. So, our children, well, most likely have a large they have a large inheritance now. And so like, what if, Bo, Gray, or Mac get entangled in some sort of relationship? You can get married legally at 18 and up, right?
Okay.
And then y'all, like, I don't know, what if Mac gets somebody pregnant at like 16 years old and it's just
Well, yeah, I mean, and I also don't know how much money we're gonna say, like, here's a lump sum of money for our kids. Like, I don't think that's
they'll be, oh, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing. I mean, I think that
Let's say, for the sake of this exercise, let's say they do.
Okay, so then look,
Let Mac knock
what is
somebody
it?
up.
Are we giving them the money with a bunch of strings attached that here's the way you need to spend it? Or do we give them the money and say, this is your money? If they were giving this to them when they're adults, it's their money. If they want to burn it all, like the Joker,
You can't have it until you're 24. Should we say that?
Why? Like prefrontal cortex stuff? Like,
Should we have? You can't.
I don't know. I think that's a long way away.
You know what? That's a good idea.
Just barely walking.
Now that I think about it, that's probably a good idea to like have it in our whatever inheritance that you cannot access this until you're 26. And like whatever, spouse you have before then, can't touch. We can set that up. But let's say we don't, okay? Do you think it's okay for parents to say because I've seen this before, like force a prenup upon like an engaged couple that's young?
No, I think if you're giving your children money,
You should give them their money.
It's their money. I mean, I don't know. That's the way I'm kind of thinking about it. Like I don't want to keep parenting
until they're 50 years old.
Yeah, I don't want to keep parenting. Like once they're adults, then they're adults.
I like that.
Hopefully you gave them the
cool
tools to get to adulthood.
Down.
They're gonna keep screwing up.
That's true. Down. And I think perhaps that there are probably parents that got their inheritance easily and is now passing it on to their children and grandchildren that I don't know. I think it's been a real gift having, started from the bottom. Now we're here, like understanding the concept and the possibility of like going from nothing to,
yeah, it's
like
really
a lot.
beneficial.
It is beneficial because it gives me more courage for our children. Yeah.
You look at a lot of things through like Christian lenses and like you're looking at this.
I
right?
do.
Like, isn't it? I mean, I do too, but I mean, I think it's more about
and
divorce.
also practical.
The issue of divorce is more, I guess biblical than it would be issue of prenuptial agreement. So I don't know. I mean, isn't divorce really the focus here?
Yeah, divorce is probably what we should be
someone dies
focusing on.
Yeah, Nicole Smith style,
Anna Nicole Smith style. She died too.
Yeah, but she died because she could spend $20 million in opiates. Like she married Jay Howard.
He was like in his 80s.
Yeah, I forget his name. He's like an oil billionaire in Texas who was like in his late 80s and married her, and she was a Playboy playmate. And the family was really upset because he said no prenup, and he just like, wrote it out that last couple of years. He just had fun like banging some Playboy playmate.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's like.
He was in a real marriage. Like, good for him.
But like. You have to almost, what's the fail safe on that? If the guy is a lot older, or the guy is unhealthy, or the woman, or the breadwinner, let's say, the wealthy one in that couple has a health issue, like, is that a legitimate way so it doesn't get like ugly with the family? Like, here's what my spouse gets, almost like a will. Is that the same thing as a prenuptial agreement?
I think that's a will.
Yeah,
like your name.
Right, but is the prenuptial agreement, is that just only in the case of divorce?
I'm not sure. Let's ask an attorney. I wish we could like flash back to her. Like, I wish like we had like an attorney in the room. Like,
yeah, I mean, I assume it is.
I
I
assume
think you could probably work that out, for if someone would die too. But I assume that it's just for divorce.
Well, that's the way it used to be historically. That's why prenups were
wills, like will and testament, like
that is how it started. But now it's mostly to prevent gold diggers from digging.
Well,
I mean, it is very common. So Andrew Schultz, staunchly against prenuptial agreements,
which is an interesting one because he's on the up and up. I mean, he really started blowing up during COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that, and he's going to be probably not super wealthy now, but he's going to be, and he just got married. So that's an interesting.
They met before he was made.
Yeah, but I don't even know if like what does made even mean.
Well, met before he was stable. like really
Okay.
like financial, like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Like
but that's
being known is stability.
yeah, that's
of
a
some
lot
sort.
of young couples though. I mean, he's in his like, you know, early 30s, late 20s. I mean, that's
I think he's in his
generally
early
the
30s.
case for people that age is like if you marry someone who's just like a singer in a bar, I mean, do you sign a prenup and just say like whatever happens, you get XYZ? Or just in case, like you're a singer in the bar, but like someday you're gonna be, you know, selling out Madison Square Garden. Do you sign it then? Like if you're someone on the up and up, just might be people listening, some young women who are listening or something that are like, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna crush it. I'm gonna be the next whatever, Oprah, whatever it is. So I'm dating this guy who's fun and everything like that, but he's not a go-getter. I'm gonna be. Do you sign one then? Because you just say like, I don't want to sign, I don't want to get married now, and then
I don't think you should sign a prenuptial. I don't think so. For me, I don't think so, because I mean, it's either you trust this relationship so much, right, that you don't think it's necessary. Or I don't know, I would just wouldn't enter into a relationship with someone until, because to me that is,
have.
yeah, but I actually would take the hit.
Okay. Okay. Then it's take the hit.
I would
Because
take the hit for the high.
You don't see things clearly when you're in love. Like,
True. I would take the hit for the high,
Yeah.
even if it costs millions. And because I just believe that so many things, so much of like real things that are beyond this life stem from relationship. And so I just value that over everything else. I value that over money. So is this about a love for money?
well, there's
And I
also
love money.
there's also an element here of like I know people who know people like type of thing, like in because we're in LA, of like celebrities. There are a lot of celebrities that have like agreements with their wives where I'm going to have a whole bunch of side chicks
Pieces.
type of thing. That's, you know, side chicks, side families, like all of that kind of stuff. Like
Side
that's a
families too.
very, very
It's a
common
Filipino
thing.
thing. It's a Filipino thing too.
I think it's just a thing. I really do, and I think it's a wealth thing too of a lot of very powerful individuals, especially men. You know, if that whole idea of like spread the seed, it's like I'm going to spread it across a whole bunch of things, but I still need to maintain the public relations of like being a good family man. I mean, that's an agreement. I mean, that was supposedly that's what happened with Tiger Woods. Is his ex-wife like knew the deal that he was out there doing all kinds of things, but just don't make it embarrass me. Don't make it embarrass the family. And then what happened was when she attacked his car with the golf clubs is because there was like, you know, tabloids got a wind of something. So it's like the agreement is, I know you're doing it, you can do it, but don't let it get public, like that kind of thing. So that's a different kind of marriage. You know that they are hooking up with other people, maybe even having kids with other people. You know it, but that's an agreement within a marriage. It's just a different kind of definition of marriage. So like this question about prenups is like, well,
What's your
definition of a marriage?
What's your definition of it? What's your definition of a marriage? And would you, like, let's say, you know, I died tomorrow. Would you enter into a relationship where a prenuptial agreement was in place?
No, I don't. I know. I don't know. I don't even like thinking about that stuff. But like,
Okay, so let's
No.
okay, so if I said, "Hey,
yeah, would you? Yeah.
I know I'm different."
No, you wouldn't have someone sign a prenup because I don't think you would ever marry someone unless you're like, okay, well, this is the real deal now. Like, I don't even know.
Would you marry somebody that, you know, insisted upon a prenup?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
What would the circumstances have to be?
Like if I married someone, it turned out this is someone I knew in college actually. Like he was dating a girl, and then he found out after he proposed that she was like
After
part of
he
a
proposed.
family or something like that, like old money, like billions. I think or Carnegie or something because they're in Pennsylvania, so it's something like that, like billions and billions of like dollars, like old money. You know, in that kind of situation, if I happened to like meet someone, fall in love, found out that they were from this billionaire family and had that kind of wealth socked away, and they were just like, look, this is just the way that it is. Like,
Okay.
and I was in love with them. Like, I wouldn't let that get in the way. Like, no, I'm going to break up with you. How dare you? Because I'm not with them for the money. So yeah, fine. I'll sign a prenup because I don't care. You know, if it's like love and it's just like a pragmatic thing of like, this is the way that my family kind of needs to do things because of the amount of resources involved and how many people we employ or whatever it is, then yeah, because I'm not I'll be bummed out if we get divorced just because I'm in love with you. I'm not aiming for the money. I think that if like money wasn't an issue for you and I when we got married and we were young, but like I think if is how much is
We
money
didn't
a
have
factor?
we didn't have a lot of money at
No.
all.
But money is a factor for a lot of women, right? Like, does the guy make money? Does he have money? Does he have potential for more money? I mean, that's a real issue. But when you're young, we were young, we were in our 20s. Like when you're young and in love, it's just not as much of a thing. So I think it depends on like how much of a factor is the comfort of wealth.
What
Right?
in what situation would you not sign one?
In a situation where I was like in a really dark place and I wanted to get access to their money. I don't know. I don't. No, I said, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't think I would. I think I wouldn't even be thinking like that. Or it was a situation like, oh, you're looking for a backdoor. Like you're already planning to find the exit.
And you can find, and you can
There's
sense
a
it.
difference in taking insurance out on a rental car because like I'm going to beat the hell out of this car compared to I'm going to take insurance out because something might happen. I'm going to try really hard not to. Like there's two different kinds of people that can take insurance out on a car, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just hard to say. All these hypotheticals, it's really hard to say. I don't know.
This is really difficult.
Most commonly to like your audience.
Let's say probably for.
Or it's just a gossip thing. Like it's just like, ooh, I wonder if Pete Davidson's gonna.
Oh, for sure it applies to that.
Yeah,
for sure it applies that because you like want to know like, is it real? Does like, you know, Courtney and Travis, did they have a prenup? Who has more money? Does it even matter? You know, because like they look so in love. It is really interesting. Especially for couples that you think are like so in love that like, listen, a lot of, you know, women like idolize couples. They idolize couples. And then if they find out they have a prenup, you know, that taints that, you know, that picture that they're like in love, that the genuine aspect of their love that like taints it. So I do think for a lot of women that it's a turnoff, you know, but at the same time, it might be a turn on because a lot of women are really into bad, powerful boys.
So he's gonna force you to sign this, and you'll be like, ooh, like,
wow,
50 Shades of Grey.
Right? It's like 50 Shades of Grey because he has so much money and he has a helipad. I'm not like that. You know me well. I've never been into the bad boy.
That's true.
I've never been into it.
Yeah, but you're into
powerful men.
You're into like strong,
capable,
like,
moral, clean.
Yeah. You want like a square jaw,
circumcised.
Okay. But you want like a square jaw, like corn-fed, like farm guy.
I do. That's
no, yeah, the bad boys.
It's not my thing.
Stuff is not your thing.
It's not my thing.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I don't know. Well, but even as a child.
Well, I mean, this is maybe the tangent, but like, do you agree with the concept of like why girls like bad boys? The idea of, well, they want to reform the bad boy. The idea that the bad boy is a strong.
But they have to be good enough. They have to have some redeemable qualities.
Yeah, which they typically do.
Okay.
Right? Because they're only nice to you. They're mean to every other girl, but nice
I
they
don't.
cheat on every other girl, but not you.
Okay, but yeah, they have to be at least like I guess it comes to the issue of like monogamy. It's like, are you into me?
We're back to that. Everyone cheats. So.
Do they, Will? Everyone?
Not everyone.
Not everyone.
A lot. And I think it'd be interesting to see the income brackets.
Like who are the people?
Right, as you go up, like what the percentage of infidelity. I think as you go up in wealth, I'm sure the infidelity
increases.
Probably does.
Oh man, what did you say? Like it's all about options.
Chris Rock had a stand-up bit on that.
Right. We did this at the last episode. We talked about the concept of being a monster, and how it is actually not that benevolent. It's easy to act benevolent when nothing is annoying you at the moment. So the same goes with like, hey, if like Zac Efron says, I never cheat on my wife, it doesn't hold as much weight as if Steve Buscemi says, hey, I'll never cheat on my wife.
Right.
That's not
right.
real. We're real here.
So, yeah, that's it. We're back to the same thing. But like
we're back to the same thing.
So women want the guy that has all the resources and the helipad and everything like that. But then, I mean, how much of that is I want access to your wealth if things don't work out? Because
No, we want protection.
yeah.
And we want someone that's going to listen to our feelings.
So if let me ask you this. So let's just say alternate universe, you meet some guy who plays the NBA or something like that. Okay. And then he says, hey, we're gonna sign a prenup, but you have friends that married like high profile athletes and stuff.
Okay.
Like let's just say that they said something like, all right, well, when this goes down, I'll make sure that you get 25 grand a month for the rest of your life.
Why would it? I mean,
Sign that.
depends where I was in my life. Sheila Ferrari at 28 years old, yes.
Like, but what my point is how much more money do you need than 25 grand?
It's not about the money. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna ruffle so many feathers. Like if you sign something that's like, all right, if I cheat, neither of us get the money. And that's like it all goes to charity. If I cheat. like you know what I mean? It's not about the money.
You marry a super athlete that's on the road all the time.
Obviously,
like,
he'll never agree to that. A super athlete that's on the I still think Tom Brady is a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. I'm sure that he's
I
hooked
don't
up with people on the road.
Really? I think so.
Yeah, all right, maybe not.
I don't think so.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he's just too.
I think he's really upset. Yeah, I think football is his god. No, I think he's really upset about this whole thing. I think he's totally distraught. Oh no, is that the media?
Oh jeez. He could have gotten you to invest in with the FTX or whatever that thing is. I don't know. I just think that you got to know what you're getting yourself into, and like that's the same Chris Rock bit is like you got to know what kind of guy you have, and I don't know how much you people we're friends with a lot of people that don't even know their spouse really well.
That's so crazy to me.
Yeah.
That is so crazy to me. Even like our closest friends, it's like, you don't know that? Like I'll ask them a question about their spouse and then they just like don't know. And they live together. They've lived together for several years, but then they don't communicate. I think it's so strange. The level of intimacy that people are okay with, like there's a lot of people that are okay with not that much depth in their main relationship. That's crazy to me. So that's another thing too. People have different standards. I guess I just have a really high standard for depth.
What percentage of women who are cheated on by their husband, like, I can't believe that he's been cheating on me. What percentage do you think chose not to look behind the curtain?
A percentage?
Yeah. You love Beyonce Lemonade, where she's just like,
chose not to look behind the curtain.
This itching feeling.
30%.
You think that's it? I think 70% are just like oblivious. They just had no.
I think they don't. I still think the majority choose not to look behind the curtain. That's 70% of women choose not to look behind the curtain.
30%.
No, 70% choose not to look behind the curtain. Yeah. I believe so. Like, and like 30% are completely blindsided.
Up, right?
Yes.
Like I can tell when something's up with you, like something's up with one of your friends. You can tell when something's up with like, I have a splinter in my foot.
You really can.
Like you can tell when something's up with your spouse.
Really can.
So it's interesting.
Even like, sexually, like you can tell. Like you have a sense. Yeah. Like you asked me about it.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, I don't know.
I do think a lot of women choose to turn a blind eye because it's just easier. Because they're afraid to look behind the curtain. Like, what would it mean? But me, like, I wanted to know everything. So much so that I snooped through all of your things when we first started dating because I wanted to know. Now, I'm not saying that was the right thing to do. That was definitely, a violation of trust.
No, you tell young women to do it. No, I think that's we disagree on this one. I think that's not.
Well, and I still think it was a violation of trust. And
I didn't think single reason to doubt though. That's the difference.
No, but my friends' experiences with other men did give me a reason to doubt. And also my past experiences with men gave me a reason to doubt.
Okay, but that's not me.
But not you. Correct.
I didn't give you a reason. I think that's a problem. Is if you tell a lot of young women that like go through his phone and stuff, and I disagree with you on that. I publicly.
That's okay. I publicly disagree with you
right.
as well. The reason why is because I know how was I to know? How was I to know? It was like the first like 2 months of our relationship. I know women who have been scammed by just like the Tindler swindler.
That's the gamble. That's the dice roll of a
True.
relationship, babe.
It is.
That's the
Well,
whole
you
point.
married me anyway, didn't you?
Yeah, but it was a
It was a crazy fight.
hiccup.
It was a hiccup.
Yeah.
True.
And it made sure that you wouldn't do that again. Like
That's
there's
true.
not many instances like that came up. But if the behavior continued, then we
For
probably
sure.
would've gotten married.
That's true. If the behavior continued. Also, like, you know, I grew up in a home where, you know, my father wasn't very loyal to his female partners. I'm not even saying my mom, but just female partners. And then so that was like a fact that was in just like a factoid. It's just the way it is. That was instilled upon me upon age. Now, while I'm not excusing that behavior at all, because like the ideal, right? Yeah, that was definitely a sin. But the ideal is to not look through your phone. That's definitely the ideal. That is what I want to be. I want to be that girl and like deal with the consequences of it. But you know, I think that it was probably foreshadowing of the way I am now at 40 years old, which is I'm a control freak.
So
I'm not even saying that's a good thing. That's definitely a flaw that causes me a lot of anxiety.
but you're 40 years old now and you have this outlook on life and on marriage and on things. But like most people get married, they're not 40. So you have this idea that people should get married young and they should start having kids young and all.
Oh, let's talk about
the
that.
Conservative kind of side of you is like that. Like, hey, just get going.
You
meet
just
someone that you
outed
like,
me, Will.
let's
You
go.
just outed me. That's okay.
Right.
It's okay.
But like the problem with that is you're not 40 when you're making those decisions. So you say like, hey, when you meet someone, you're in love, you should get married, start having kids, but you know that's not true. So I'm curious about why you
just
support
think
that idea
I
when
support
you didn't actually live it yourself.
because you'll just find out faster.
Isn't it
part of
better
it.
that you didn't have kids?
Yeah, but would
if
I
you would've
regret
followed your
any
own
children?
advice,
Would I regret any children? Probably not.
I don't know if I would have dated you if you had kids.
I don't know. Maybe you
I
don't
don't
know. You don't know.
Because who I am now is
That's
different
my
than who I was.
that's my consequence. That's my
Yeah.
consequence.
Yeah.
So there's this advice which is really radical actually. I just came across it like I don't know my feed the other day by Tucker Carlson. He says and I'm totally
I'm outing you as a conservative. You're doing a Tucker Carlson thing. Yeah.
whatever. So here's okay, so here's advice from Tucker Carlson. Advice for college men. I'm paraphrasing. He says, when you find the right girl that you're compatible with, don't overthink it. Have more children than you can afford. He says, right? Listen, I don't personally like him.
Isn't he against like
I don't
social welfare programs and
Yes,
stuff that
I
help
don't
single moms?
I don't personally like him. I just want to clear that. But
Okay.
I just thought this advice was very radical.
It's okay.
Don't overthink it was his advice and get married young. And Ben Shapiro actually has the same advice. Now, I like that and I don't. I like it and I don't. I wish I would have met you younger.
Okay.
And I think I would have met you younger had I had this attitude even into my like teens. Does that make sense? Because I didn't have this sense of adventure until I was like 26 years old. So maybe that's what it is, because deep down, I feel like I would have met you younger.
What about adjusting this
Yeah.
to say, because we know a lot of couples that have been together for a long time and they just don't advance. How about instead of like get married and have more kids than you can afford, which is actually
a horrible
not good
idea.
advice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's advice from him who was like raised in like a wealthy, you know, like,
Exactly.
Northeast city, and they had tons of resources. So it's like, no, he couldn't have enough kids that he couldn't afford. Okay, but like,
That's true.
But how about instead of that? How about something along the lines of constantly advance, move it forward. We are friends with people who have been dating for 10 years or more, and it's like their relationship is in the same place it was 8 years ago. So what about something along the lines? Let's adjust this a little bit to like, if you find someone you're compatible with, keep moving the ball forward.
Keep moving the ball
moving
forward.
The ball, getting deeper with each
There you
other.
go.
Getting closer to marriage, getting closer to starting.
Just make sure that there's no ultimatum.
Stagnant. Well,
See, that's the thing. It's
that had a marriage because of an ultimatum.
I don't like that either.
Correct. Yeah, I don't like it. But that's if there's an agreement of, hey, we found someone we're compatible with, we're doing well, and we're young. Let's just keep moving this forward. Like I never like formally, like I don't even know if we formally were like, hey, we're dating, we're official now. We're like, I asked you to move in, kind of, but it's more just like you were just there all the time. It's
I know.
like I hung out with you yesterday.
I
I'm
was-
hanging out with you today.
I was really conscious, by the way, of that. Like I was like, don't be pushy, don't be pushy. But I move real fast.
It was more.
It was like 4 months in, and then I had a key to your apartment.
What I'm saying is
And
like I
clothes.
think that it just works out that the person you're with, you just would rather spend tomorrow with them than your friends or your hobbies or whatever it is. So you just continue that going. You just keep moving forward. I feel like our relationship, something that we did do well, is we constantly were advancing. We advanced, and like, you know, we were married for like a year and a half or something like that, or a year before we said let's have kids. So we were like, let's be a young married couple. We traveled a lot.
We did.
Traveled all around the country
As much
a lot
as
and
we
stuff
could
like that.
afford at the time.
Yeah. So I think as long as you're like moving towards something, you have a similar like aim, you're shoulder to shoulder, kind of moving in one like common direction, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of couples that aren't moving. And
They're
that
moving.
I think is the problem. I think that moving towards that, you want that ideal, you want the house with the white picket fence, you want the kids, but you got to keep moving toward it. I don't think that you can say you're young, you're 22 years old, you're in love, get married and start having kids. I think that's terrible advice.
What do you think about couples that don't want kids? Have decided they don't want kids or unsure. Do you think they should get married?
I think they can get married. I don't understand as much the point of it. But because I think part of the marriage concept is to have that more very traditional, again, you're a conservative, like that like traditional kind idea of that like household where things are like, you know, locked in and structured forever. You know, I think for children it's a nice thing to have. That like I have this like solid structure, and
It's nice. It's a nice thing to have.
Kids who are from intact households tend to have a better likelihood of having intact households and things like that. I mean, shit happens, so like it could go off for anybody, but I think that's like the ideal.
So a lot of times people are you for prenups or not?
Oh, I'm a liberty person, babe. Like I
know when people like watch your stuff, they're like they're like, is he a conservative or is he a Democrat? Like it's like, are you for this issue or not? It's like, so why
does it have to be that way? No, let me ask you, like,
you personally,
why does it have to be that way? Why can't it be like
fluid?
Or if the
Gender fluid.
If the man and the woman or whatever, the man and the man or the non-binary and the trans fluid person have an agreement where they want to, like, they just go, yes, I'm down with this, then I think that's fine for them. I don't think that it's a one-size-fits-all thing. Like diets are not a one-size-fits-all thing. I think a lot of things are not a one-size-fits-all thing. I don't think politics, the way that we do it, is a one-size. I think that's ridiculous. You're conservative on things and you're very progressive on things, as am I, as is everyone listening, if they actually want to think about it and look at it hard.
All right.
So at the end of the day, we've established nothing. Which is, I think that's the way that it is. I think.
Welcome to Cylinder Radio.
It's like, are prenups good or bad? It's not like that.
It's way too complicated.
But think about it. Think about it.
Let's go to date night. All and right. Let's not think.
Done. Thank you for having me on your show, sweetheart.
Thank you. Are you sure this isn't Cylinder Radio?
Oh, did I hijack it?
No, you did. Okay. No, I don't think so. I love your perspective on things. It makes me think to the point where I can't think anymore because it's a lot. And that's why I love you. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for listening to Pretty Rich Podcast. Again, if you are blessed by this episode or if it made you think about something, I want to know about it. Send me a DM on Instagram at RealSheilaBella. And if you have any questions for Will and I for future episodes, drop it to me there too. Or better yet, leave a review on iTunes with your burning question. And we'll see you guys in the next episode of
Date Night.
All right. Very not okay. Bye.